What you're about to hear is the story of a guy who had everything locked in. The venue, the caterer, the ring, the honeymoon, all of it. 1 week out from the wedding, then his fiancée just vanished. No call, no text, nothing. Police got involved. Hospitals got called. And when they finally found her, she was chilling at a friend's house 3 hours away because she needed space. Space. 7 days before she's supposed to walk down an aisle. What this man did next is the reason I started this channel. Buckle up. My fiancée disappeared a week before our wedding. No call, no text, nothing. So I sold the ring, canceled everything, and sent her family an itemized invoice. So, I'm Nate, 32, male, and I was about to be a married man. Now I'm just 32 with a stack of cancellation invoices, and a couch that's finally just mine. It started 8 days ago, 1 week before the wedding. Brooke, she's 29, was supposed to meet me that evening. We had a final walkthrough at the venue scheduled for the next morning. Seating charts, guest meal counts, all that last-minute stuff that makes your brain feel like it's running on dial-up. She didn't show up. At 7, I texted her. Nothing. By 8, I called. Straight to voicemail. And that was weird because Brooke's phone was basically grafted to her hand. That woman could text back mid-shower. I'm serious. She once responded to a group chat while getting her wisdom teeth out, still half under anesthesia. For her to not answer was like seeing a dog walk on its hind legs. Technically possible, but something's wrong. By 9, I had that pit in my stomach, you know the one. Called again, voicemail. I reached out to her sister Chloe. She hadn't heard from Brooke either. Called her parents. Nothing there. By midnight, I was losing it. Called every friend I could think of. Drove by her apartment. Lights off, car gone. Sat in that parking lot for maybe 20 minutes just staring at her dark windows like an idiot, trying to convince myself she was probably fine. She wasn't answering because her phone died. She fell asleep early. She went on a spontaneous trip to Target and lost track of time. I was grasping at anything. This wasn't like her at all. Brooke was the person who'd text you back before you even finished typing. She over-communicated about everything. What she wanted for dinner, what shoes she was thinking about for some random Tuesday, whether we should switch from 2-ply to 3-ply. I once got a 4-paragraph text from her about a candle she saw at Home Goods. For her to just vanish? Something had to be seriously wrong. The next 24 hours were a blur. I called hospitals, filed a missing persons report. That part felt unreal. Standing at a police station giving them a photo of the woman I was supposed to marry in 6 days. Her family was falling apart. Her dad Richard kept calling me every couple hours asking if I'd heard anything. I was stuck somewhere between being terrified that something awful happened to her and this creeping feeling growing in the back of my head that maybe it was something else entirely. Something personal. Day 3. The police found her. She was fine, completely fine. Staying with an old college friend named Dana about 3 hours away. The relief lasted maybe 4 seconds before it got replaced by this cold, sharp sting. She was safe. But she hadn't told me. Hadn't told anyone. Not her parents, not Chloe, nobody. The police said she refused to talk to me and gave no explanation for the disappearing act. Just that she needed space. Space. A week before our wedding. My brain just went blank. Whatever fear and heartbreak I'd been carrying for 3 days hardened into something else. Something quiet and frigid and final. No message. No call. No email. After 5 years together, after building a life, after we spent 2 full weekends arguing about table centerpieces that nobody was going to even remember. Nothing. 5 years. I knew what brand of shampoo made her scalp itch. She knew I couldn't sleep without the fan on even in December. I knew she couldn't eat sushi without getting a stomachache, but ordered it anyway every single time because she liked the idea of being a sushi person. She knew I secretly watched cooking competition shows when she wasn't home. We'd survived a long-distance year when she was finishing her degree up north. 12 months of video calls and weekend drives that destroyed my gas budget. Survived her grandmother's funeral when I held her hand for 3 hours straight in the hospital waiting room. Survived that awful period when her company did layoffs and she didn't know if she'd have a job the next week. I brought her soup and sat with her on the couch every night for 2 weeks while she stress-ate crackers and refreshed her email. We survived all of that, and this is how it ends. With voicemail and a police welfare check. So I started making calls. Different kind of calls this time. The venue. $1,500 deposit. Gone. The caterer, another $3,500, lost. The photographer was real kind about it, said she was sorry to hear what happened, but the $2,000 deposit was non-refundable. Policy. I said I understood because what else are you going to say to someone who's just doing their job? She wished me well, and I could tell she meant it, which somehow made it worse. The florist, the DJ, the cake lady, who I actually kind of liked because she let me taste 4 different buttercreams on a Tuesday afternoon and didn't judge me for going back for seconds. All of it. Gone. Then, the honeymoon flights and the non-refundable resort in the Maldives that Brooke had picked after spending 3 weeks comparing resorts on her laptop like she was running an intelligence operation. Each call felt like dismantling something piece by piece with my bare hands. The financial toll from deposits I'd personally paid or was on the hook for landed at about $15,000. Her parents had paid for her dress separately and were supposed to cover most of the flower costs directly with the florist later. But I'd made the initial booking deposit on the flowers myself. Then came the hard calls, family and friends. The wedding's off. The silence on the other end before the shock hit. Questions I couldn't answer. The embarrassment of being the guy whose fiancée just disappeared on him. My mom broke down on the phone, cried for probably 10 minutes while I just stood in my kitchen holding a cold cup of coffee. My dad kept saying, "Son, what happened?" I wished I had something to tell him. My buddy Grant said he'd come over, but I told him I needed to be alone. Ate a bowl of cereal at like 2 in the afternoon, sitting on the kitchen floor, because the table still had wedding RSVPs stacked on it, and I couldn't look at them. Then the ring. A 1.5 carat cushion cut, vintage style. Her dream ring. She'd shown me a picture of her grandmother's ring once, casually, like she wasn't dropping the biggest hint in human history. I spent weeks finding a jeweler who could do a similar design. Went to 4 different shops before I found the right one. Cost me $13,000. I remember the day I picked it up. My hands were shaking, and I was grinning like an idiot in the jewelry store parking lot. Sat in my car for 10 minutes just opening the box and closing it. That ring represented everything I thought we were building. Taking it back to a jeweler to sell felt like the opposite of that day in every possible way. Different jeweler, a guy my dad recommended who specializes in estate and pre-owned pieces. He was professional about it, didn't ask questions. Looked at the ring through his loupe, typed some numbers, and gave me a figure. $7,800. Less than I wanted, more than I feared. I signed the paperwork in about 30 seconds. That money went straight into my account. A small cushion against the $15,000 I'd already eaten. Didn't come close to making me whole, but it was something. Better in my account than sitting in a drawer reminding me of a promise somebody else broke. I gathered everything of hers from my apartment. Pictures, clothes, that goofy stuffed bear from a county fair we went to 2 summers ago. She won it at one of those rigged basketball games and acted like she'd won the Super Bowl. Boxed it all up, labeled each box, stacked them by the door. 5 days since I found out she was safe. Still no word from her. She ghosted her own wedding. Ghosted me. The anger sat heavy, but honestly, mostly I just felt clear, like the fog burned off, and I could finally see the road in front of me. How do you recover from this? You don't. Not really. You just start walking a different direction and hope the ground holds. I was waiting for the next hit, though. People don't vanish like that without a follow-up. Whatever was coming, I could feel it. Hold on a second. For the listeners, this is me jumping in, not the OP. She didn't have a medical emergency. She wasn't kidnapped. She was 3 hours away eating snacks at her college buddy's apartment while her fiancé was calling hospitals at 2 in the morning. This is NPC behavior. She literally looked at the main quest, her own wedding, and said, "Nah, side quest time." My guy filed a missing persons report for someone binge-watching shows at Dana's place. If ghosting was in the Olympics, Brooke just tested positive for performance enhancers. Here comes the follow-up, and you might want to sit down. The next hit came hard. Last Tuesday, I'm a project manager at an architectural firm, which means my days are already full of people telling me things are urgent when they're not. I was in the middle of a client meeting when my coworker Kelly poked her head in. "Nate, sorry, someone's here. Says it's urgent." I excused myself, already irritated, because we were right in the middle of reviewing a floor plan revision that had taken me 2 days to put together. Walked out to reception, and there she was. Brooke. She looked rough. Not like TV rough, where the actress still looks amazing, but has one smudge of mascara. Actually rough. Red eyes, messy hair, wrinkled clothes, no makeup. A far cry from the woman I was supposed to marry. "Nate," she said, voice cracking, stepping toward me with her arms open for a hug. I stepped back, felt nothing. I kept my voice low because Kelly at the front desk was suddenly very focused on her keyboard in a way that meant she was listening to every word. "Brooke, what are you doing here? We need to talk." Her eyes were filling up. "Please." It was a terrible mistake. A mistake? My voice was flat. Disappearing on me, on your family, a week before our wedding. Refusing to speak to me when the police found you. That's a mistake? She said she panicked, got scared, that Dana said some things that messed with her head and she just lost it. Dana, her free-spirited friend, who'd always thought Brooke could do better than a guy who goes to bed at 10:30 on weeknights. Right. So you ran off. No word for days. Didn't know how to face me. And now here you are, at my job. "I still love you," she said, reaching for my hand. I pulled it away. "I want to make this right. We can reschedule. Tell everyone I had a family crisis, a medical issue. We can fix it." The audacity was staggering. Fix it. Like it was a scheduling hiccup. Like she'd accidentally double-booked a Saturday instead of blowing up 5 years and $15,000. "Brooke, I sold the ring." That stopped her cold. Her whole body kind of froze. "You what?" "Sold it. I lost over $15,000 in deposits I paid myself. The $7,800 from the ring barely touched it, but it was necessary." "You sold my ring?" Her voice went up a full octave. "That was my ring. It was inspired by my grandmother's design. How could you?" Now I was getting hot. "Your ring? I paid for it. $13,000 for a wedding you abandoned. A symbol of a promise you broke. Inspiration doesn't make it yours when I footed the entire bill." She stammered about the money, where it went. I told her. Venue, caterer, honeymoon losses. Consequences of her choices. And I was still thousands out of pocket. She stared at me like I'd suddenly started speaking Mandarin. "You have to give me that money. It's partly mine." We were getting married. Were. Past tense. "No, I don't owe you anything except protecting myself from more damage." My boss, Mr. Calloway, no-nonsense guy, fair, the type who says exactly 4 words when one would do, appeared in the hallway, drawn by her raised voice. He looked at Brooke, then at me, eyebrow up. "Everything okay, Nate?" "Personal matter, Mr. Calloway. Being handled." I gave Brooke a look that said, "Leave. Now." She turned to him instead. "He sold my engagement ring. Canceled our wedding without even discussing it with me." She definitely said this. To my boss, like he was customer service. Mr. Calloway looked like he wanted to teleport to a different building. "Ma'am, this is a workplace," I cut in. "Brooke, this is inappropriate. You need to leave." She kept going. "But our families, the deposits my parents paid, your parents paid for your dress, which I assume you still have. They were supposed to pay the florist's remaining balance directly, but they never did. When I canceled the florist contract, I got hit with a $1,400 cancellation fee because I'd made the initial booking. That added to my already massive losses, which the ring money only partially covered. I have receipts for every single dollar. You can take it up with your parents." Tears streaming down her face. "You're so heartless. Cold. I made a mistake. Don't I deserve some understanding?" "Understanding?" My voice dropped to ice. "I used all my understanding up at 2 in the morning, calling hospitals, filing police reports, driving past your dark apartment, wondering if you were alive. You want understanding? Start with a real apology, not blaming your friend. And do not come to my job demanding money from a ring you walked away from." "I despise you," she screamed. Full volume. In an office. Co-workers were openly staring now. My face was hot, but my spine was steel. That's starting to feel mutual. Security can walk you out. She glared at me for a long second, turned, and stormed out. Nearly knocked over a potted plant by the door. Mr. Calloway watched her go, then looked back at me. "Well, that was something." "You okay, son?" "Fine," I said. But my hands were shaking. Not from fear. From her nerve. She didn't come for forgiveness. She came for a reset button, with me paying the restocking fee. Yo, time out. She showed up at his job, middle of a client meeting, and demanded money from a ring she didn't pay for a wedding she ghosted. That's like walking out of a restaurant without paying, then coming back to complain the waiter was rude. Princess Direct Deposit over here really thought she could cry her way into $7,800. And she told his boss? This has big, I want to speak to the manager energy, except the manager also thinks you're wrong. I love that Nate didn't raise his voice once. This dude responded like an accountant who moonlights as a hitman. Cold, precise. Zero wasted words. Buckle up. Mama Bear's about to call. Later that evening, her mother Diane called. Oh, great. Here we go. Diane, always obsessed with how things look to other people. Polite on the surface, critical underneath. The kind of woman who'd compliment your shirt and somehow make you feel like you should burn it. She once told me at Thanksgiving dinner that my gravy was creative, and I'm still not sure if it was an insult. Pretty sure it was. Nate, dear, she began, her voice dripping with that sugary warmth she only uses when she wants something. Brooke is devastated. I can imagine, I said. Yelling at someone's workplace must be exhausting. Sharp inhale, no need for sarcasm. The poor girl made a mistake. A serious one, yes. Her father and I are terribly disappointed, but she sees her error now. She wants to fix things. Her version of fixing things means demanding I restart a canceled wedding and hand over money from a ring I sold to cover her mess. A mess that cost me thousands, Diane. That's not fixing. That's fantasy. She was upset about the ring. Of course, Diane said, brushing past everything I'd just said. It meant something to her. The design. A design she picked from a catalog. Its meaning was in the commitment she threw away. Diane's tone hardened like concrete. This isn't just about emotions, Nate. There are financial matters. We paid for her expensive dress, and we gave you two a generous $5,000 gift for your honeymoon. Since you canceled the wedding, that's on you. Actually, hold on. I need to back up here. That $5,000 was given to us as a couple. It went into the shared wedding fund, specifically into the non-refundable Maldives resort that Brooke picked after 3 weeks of comparison shopping. I have bank records. I have the booking confirmation. Every dollar is accounted for. I nearly laughed. Diane, the wedding is off because Brooke disappeared. I canceled because the bride was gone. Your $5,000 went to the resort she chose. I have receipts and bank records. Want copies? Silence. It's wrong for you to keep that money, she said. What's wrong is your daughter vanishing without a word and leaving me with the financial wreckage. That $5,000 covered part of the lost honeymoon. I ate the rest, plus all my other deposits. The ring money only softened the blow. It didn't make me whole. Not even close. Then I brought up the florist. You and Richard were supposed to pay the $2,800 balance directly to the florist. Remember that agreement? You didn't pay it. When I canceled the contract because the wedding was off, I got stuck with a 50% cancellation fee, $1,400, because I'd made the initial deposit. I covered that on top of everything else. Out of my own pocket. Outrageous. You're trying to scam us. No, Diane. I'm stating facts. Every fact I have comes with a receipt. Brooke's actions caused these costs. The ring money only cushioned my direct losses. Your $5,000 went to a honeymoon trip we never took. And I had to eat the florist cancellation because you and Richard didn't pay your share before your daughter decided to ghost everybody. There's no profit here. Just a massive headache and a broken engagement that's cost me more than I want to think about. She's right. You are cruel, Diane snapped. After all she's been through. After all she's been through, Diane? What about me? What about our families, our friends? The worry, the canceled plans, the humiliation. She got scared and ran. She's 29 years old, not a teenager sneaking out past curfew. Responsible people communicate. They pick up the phone. The conversation dragged on way longer than it should have. The entitlement was unreal. She genuinely believed Brooke's tears should work like some kind of universal eraser. Just wipe everything clean so we could all pretend it didn't happen. She even suggested I apologize to Brooke for selling her ring and for not being more supportive during the workplace meltdown. I almost dropped the phone. Enough, Diane. I'm done. Here's what's happening. I'm sending you, Richard, and Brooke a detailed breakdown of every wedding-related expense I managed or got stuck with. It'll list every payment I made, every deposit I lost, and every cost I covered when others didn't, like your florist bill. It'll show that nobody's profiting here, especially not me, and it'll highlight the $1,400 I paid on your behalf. Reimburse me or don't. Your call. But any more demands, any more harassment, any more showing up at my workplace, and I'll have a lawyer send a cease and desist. We clear? Silence. Then, clipped and cold, you wouldn't dare. Test me. I hung up, hands still shaking. Not fun, but the anger felt clean. They actually thought they could pressure me into absorbing the entire financial crater of Brooke's colossal mistake. Nah. Wait. Diane, I'm calling her the Auditor General of Delusion. Just tried to shake down the guy her daughter ghosted. For money he lost. That's like rear-ending someone's car and handing them a bill for your bumper. The math isn't mathing, Diane. And she brought up that $5,000 gift like it was a business loan with interest. Ma'am, a gift earmarked for a honeymoon that didn't happen because your kid went AWOL isn't the power move you think it is. What's next? Suing him for emotional damages because the centerpieces went to waste. I fully expect a GoFundMe titled, "Help My Family Recover from Consequences." Popcorn's ready for the spreadsheet. The next day, I sat down and did it. Took me the whole evening. A full spreadsheet. Every vendor. Every deposit. Every dollar. Dates, amounts, scanned invoices. Confirmation emails. Bank transfer confirmations. I even included the Venmo payments I'd made to the DJ because apparently that's how DJs do business now. I highlighted the florist cancellation fee I covered on Diane and Richard's behalf. Attached proof of the ring sale and a clear breakdown showing how the $7,800 only partially offset my $15,000 in losses. I color-coded it. Green for deposits I'd paid, red for money lost. Yellow for costs that should have been covered by her family but fell on me. Every line item backed by documentation. No opinions, no emotions, just numbers that told a very clear story. My buddy Grant came over while I was finishing it and looked over my shoulder. He just said, "Dude," and went to get me a soda from the fridge. That's friendship right there. 3 copies printed, organized, and sent via registered mail with return receipt requested. 1 for Brooke, 1 for Diane and Richard. Cost me like $40 in postage and registered mail fees, which honestly felt like the best $40 I'd spent in months. Then the chaos unfolded. Turns out Brooke wasn't staying with Dana anymore. After the workplace scene, office gossip travels at the speed of light. Kelly didn't even pretend not to know the full story by Wednesday. And word got back to Dana somehow. Dana apparently told Brooke to either take responsibility for the mess she'd made or find somewhere else to crash. So Brooke went home. Back to her parents' house. My spreadsheet arrived smack in the middle of that family reunion. Wait, no. It was maybe a few days after she moved back. Doesn't matter. Point is, the timing was beautiful. A text from Chloe came a few days later. "Nate, Mom and Dad got your papers. So did Brooke. It's chaos here. Just wanted to say I'm sorry. You didn't deserve this." I replied, "Thanks, Chloe. Means a lot." This wasn't revenge. It was clarity. Consequences delivered in 12-point font with highlighted cells. They wanted to twist the story and paint me as the villain. The cold, heartless guy who sold the ring. That spreadsheet was my truth, and it was backed by every receipt I had. I heard through mutual friends that Brooke tried telling people I got cold feet, that I was too controlling, that she had to escape. Bold strategy, honestly. But after her workplace meltdown, which several people witnessed, including Kelly, who is apparently now friends with half our social circle, the story didn't exactly add up. People talked, not favorably about her. Her victim act fell apart fast, especially when the money demands leaked out. Probably through Diane. That woman couldn't keep a secret if you paid her. The fallout was straightforward. Her actions, her consequences. No theatrics from my end. Just numbers on paper. No florist reimbursement came. Didn't expect it. But they know the number. And they know their demands hold zero weight because my records show I was left covering their share too. Pause for a second. This man weaponized a spreadsheet. Most guys would have had a meltdown. Nate had Excel open and a printer warming up. That's not revenge. That's project management with a grudge. Registered mail with return receipts? He went full Breaking Bad except instead of cooking anything illegal, he was cooking pivot tables. And Brooks out there telling people he was controlling? Girl, the only thing he was controlling was the column widths on his financial breakdown. Meanwhile, Dana kicked her out, her parents are getting certified mail, and her whole narrative just got debunked by a PDF attachment. If bad decision-making was a resume skill, Brooke would be overqualified. Final update. Time passed. Life does this frustrating thing where it just keeps going whether you're ready or not. After the spreadsheet landed, the initial storm, per Chloe, faded into quiet. Glorious, peaceful quiet. No more calls from Diane. No dramatic workplace ambushes from Brooke. No stern emails from Richard, who honestly always seemed a little confused by his own family's behavior. That man spent most holidays looking like he wanted to be in his garage instead. I didn't get the $1,400 for the florist fee. Knew I wouldn't. Getting money out of Diane is like teaching a fish to climb a tree. Never gonna happen. But the point was made. Everything was documented. Every dollar accounted for. Done. I spent those first quiet weeks just sort of existing. Went to work. Came home. Made dinner for one, which is a weird adjustment when you've been meal planning for 2 for years. The fridge looked wrong with just my stuff in it. No more of her weird yogurt that tasted like regret with a fruit label. No more of the 17 condiments she swore she needed but used maybe twice a year. I cleaned the whole apartment top to bottom one Saturday. Took me 6 hours. Found a sticky note she'd left on the bathroom mirror months ago that just said, "You're cute, weirdo." And I stood there holding it for way too long before I threw it away. Anyway, a gem from Chloe came about a month later. We'd stayed in occasional, careful contact. Nothing heavy, just checking in here and there. She texted, "Nate, you won't believe this. Or maybe you will. Brooke tried to get mom and dad to fund a $3,000 healing retreat for her trauma from the wedding cancellation." I replied, "Did they?" Dad said no, straight up. Told her to start healing by getting a job and paying back what they lost on her dress alterations and other stuff they covered directly. Things that weren't even on your list. Mom's giving Dad the silent treatment over it. Brooke's a wreck. Total drama. I'm not gonna lie, that was better than any $1,400 reimbursement check. Richard finally finding his backbone. Entitlement running headfirst into a family wall. You love to see it. Chloe's message confirmed something I already felt. My spreadsheet focused on exactly the right stuff. My losses, my receipts, my facts. Let the numbers speak and step back. Whatever mess was happening in that household was their problem now. From what Chloe and others have told me, Brooke isn't doing great. Her victim story collapsed under its own weight. The workplace outburst made her seem unstable to people who only heard about it secondhand, and plenty of people heard about it, because office gossip doesn't exactly stay contained. Kelly alone probably told 15 people. Her attempts to badmouth me were sloppy and easily debunked by, reality. She told one mutual friend I'd been financially abusive, and that same friend asked me about it. I texted him the spreadsheet. Conversation over. Most former mutual friends saw through it once they had even a sliver of the real story. Some reached out to check on me. A couple invited me to watch football on Sundays, which was nice. Others drifted away quietly, which honestly, fine. Friendships shift after something like this, and I'm not chasing anyone down to explain myself. She's still living with her parents, apparently. Job search isn't going well. Something about everything she's qualified for being beneath her, given what she's been through emotionally. Last I heard through the grapevine, she applied to one place and didn't get a call back. The world doesn't seem to be buying her story. For me, first month was rough. Not just anger, but confusion. The why that I'll probably never get a straight answer to. People like Brooke rarely make sense to anyone except themselves, and I've stopped trying to crack that code. Some nights I'd just sit on my new couch in my quiet apartment and think about how different this all was from what I'd imagined my life looking like at 32. But you adjust. You have to. But the clarity from those early decisions, the calls, the cancellations, the spreadsheet, it held. Like fog lifting and just staying gone. Sold our old couch, got one that's just mine. Weird how much that mattered. Reclaimed my apartment, my space. Took down the photos that were still on the fridge. One from a hiking trip, one from her birthday last year, one of us at a friend's wedding looking like we had everything figured out. Funny how pictures lie. Started cooking again, made a pretty solid chili last week, which felt like a small victory. Also burned some garlic bread pretty bad the other night, but that's beside the point. Hit the gym more consistently than I have in years. Great for stress, turns out. There's something about deadlifting heavy stuff that makes your problems feel smaller by comparison. Reconnected with old friends I'd lost touch with during the engagement blur. Turns out when you spend 5 years mostly hanging out as a couple, you forget what it's like to just be a guy with his own friends and his own Saturday plans. Work's been solid too. Mr. Calloway gave me a quiet nod about a week after the incident. Handled that well, Nate. Small things, but they count. Dating? Nah, not yet. Trust feels like a muscle I pulled real bad, and I'm not trying to tear it by rushing back. I'm not bitter, though. Okay, maybe a little bitter on Tuesdays for some reason. I don't know what that's about. Working on it, focusing on myself, career, friends, rebuilding stuff my own way. No fancy retreat needed. Sometimes late at night, a pang of the old stuff shows up uninvited. The betrayal. The life we'd planned. That stupid county fair bear still sitting in a box by the door that I keep meaning to throw out and haven't. But it fades faster now. Replaced by this quiet, steady thing. Not loud triumph, just certainty. I handled a nightmare with composure, and I didn't let it wreck me, my finances, or my name. Brooke's living with her parents, arguing about healing retreats. Richard's discovering he has a spine. Diane's probably giving someone the silent treatment about something. And me, I'm sleeping just fine. Look, I'm not going to pretend Nate's some flawless hero. Nobody is. But when your fiancé vanishes a week before the wedding, gets found chilling at a friend's place, then shows up at your office screaming about ring money she never paid for, you don't argue. You don't beg. You open Excel and let the numbers talk. That's not cold. That's a guy who decided his piece was worth more than her drama. Drop your thoughts in the comments. What would you have done? Would you have sold the ring that fast or waited? And if you're not subscribed yet, hit that button. More stories coming, and they only get wilder.